Once upon a time, in the busy streets of ancient Rome, there lived a man named Lucius. Lucius was not a king or a warrior, but he was a thinker, a student of philosophy. He followed the teachings of the Stoics, men like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, who believed that true power came from within. Lucius knew that life was full of challenges, but he also knew that the right exercises of the mind could make him stronger. One evening, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, Lucius sat by the flickering light of an oil lamp. He opened his notebook and began writing. He knew that if he wanted to live a life of peace and strength, he had to train his mind, just as an athlete trains his body. Over the years he had learned many Stoic exercises, and he decided to write them down, not just for himself, but for others who might seek wisdom. The first exercise Lucius wrote about was called the view from above. He had learned this from the great Stoic teacher, Epictetus. The exercise was simple, but powerful. Whenever Lucius felt troubled by small worries, a rude neighbor, a lost coin, or a harsh word, he would close his eyes and imagine himself rising high above the earth. From this great height, he could see the vastness of the world. His problems, which once seemed so big, now looked tiny. The cities, the rivers, the mountains, all were small under the endless sky. This exercise reminded him that his troubles were temporary, just a small part of a much bigger picture. The second exercise was all Premeditatio Malorum, which meant the premeditation of evils. Lucius had read about this in Seneca's letters. Every morning before starting his day, he would sit quietly and think about the worst things that could happen. What if he lost his job? What if a friend betrayed him? What if he fell ill? At first this seemed like a dark practice, but Lucius soon understood its power. By imagining these difficulties, he was preparing his mind to face them calmly if they ever came true. Instead of being shocked by misfortune, he was ready. And often, he realized that the things he feared were not as terrible as he had imagined. The third exercise was Amor Fati, a Latin phrase meaning love of fate. This was one of Lucius's favorite teachings from Marcus Aurelius. Life does not always go the way we want. Sometimes plans fail. Sometimes bad things happen. But instead of fighting against fate, Lucius learned to embrace it. If he missed a meeting because of rain, he would smile and say, "This is what was meant to happen." If he fell ill, he would use the time to rest and reflect. By accepting life as it came, he removed the struggle against things he could not change. This exercise taught him to find peace in every situation. The fourth exercise was Dichotomy of Control. Epictetus had taught that some things are in our power, and some are not. Lucius made it a habit to ask himself every day, "Is this within my control?" If a storm came, he could not stop the rain, but he could choose to stay indoors. If someone insulted him, he could not control their words, but he could control his reaction. By focusing only on what he could change, Lucius wasted no energy on things beyond his power. This made him stronger and more at ease. The fifth exercise was journaling. Every night, before sleep, Lucius would take out his notebook and write. He would ask himself, "What did I do well today? Where did I fail? How can I improve?" This practice helped him learn from his mistakes and grow wiser with each passing day. Seneca himself had written letters reflecting on his life, and Lucius saw the value in this quiet self-examination. The sixth exercise was Memento Mori, which meant remember you must die. This sounded grim, but Lucius knew it was a powerful reminder. Every morning he would take a moment to think, "I will not live forever. Today could be my last day." This was not meant to frighten him, but to make him appreciate life more. It pushed him to act with purpose, to be kind, to avoid wasting time on petty things. Knowing that time was limited made every moment more precious. The seventh exercise was by practicing poverty. Seneca had written that a wise man should sometimes live as if he had nothing. Lucius would occasionally wear old clothes, eat simple food, or sleep on the floor. By doing this, he reminded himself that happiness did not come from wealth or comfort. If he ever lost his riches, he would still be content. This exercise made him fearless, because he knew he could live well, even with very little. The eighth exercise was on the discipline of action. Marcus Aurelius had taught that every action should be done with purpose, as if it were the last thing you would ever do. Lucius took this to heart. Whether he was sweeping the floor, writing a letter, or speaking to a friend, he did it with full attention. He avoided laziness and half-hearted efforts. This discipline gave his life meaning, because even small tasks were done with care. The ninth exercise was Sympatheia, the idea that all humans are connected. When Lucius felt angry or annoyed with someone, he would pause and remind himself, "This person is just like me. They seek happiness. They fear suffering. They make mistakes." This helped him to be patient and kind, even when others were difficult. He saw that anger only hurt himself, and understanding brought peace. The 10th exercise was in turning obstacles into advantages. The Stoics believed that every challenge could be used to grow stronger. If Lucius faced a difficult person, he would see it as a chance to practice patience. If he failed at a task, he would see it as a lesson. Nothing was purely bad if he could learn from it. Years passed, and Lucius grew older. His hair turned gray, but his mind remained sharp. He had faced many hardships, loss, betrayal, illness, but the Stoic exercises had given him strength. He was not free from pain, but he was free from fear. He knew that no matter what happened, he could choose his thoughts, his actions, and his attitude. One evening, as he sat under the stars, a young man approached him. "Master," the young man said, "I have heard of your wisdom. Teach me how to live a good life." Lucius smiled and handed him his notebook. "These are not my teachings," he said. "They belong to the great Stoics who came before me. But if you practice them, they will change your life." The young man took the notebook and began to read. And so the wisdom of the Stoics lived on, passing from one seeker to another, just as it does today, in these very words. If you wish to be strong, if you wish to be free, these exercises are your path. Practice them, and you will find the power that has always been within you. The end.